In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only CM Kozemen. Welcome everybody to the short brief talk hour podcast where we will now tackle the somewhat thorny issue of this particular sci-fi sub-genre known as Fuck Yeah Humanity. This is a synthetic genre with many modern political implications, so buckle up for an interesting discussion of what this genre or subgenre essentially is, what it means, if it is really feasible or even realistic, and how I would go about if I was forced at gunpoint to write something. Welcome to the CM Kozemen channel. If you're just a newcomer or if you're a repeat visitor, please remember to support me on Patreon, buy me a coffee, or maybe get some of my merch. If you support me on Patreon, you get something back. And it's a world of surreal art and alien artwork that I've been doing for loyal fans and followers. If you support me on Buy Me a Coffee, you also get something back, and that is a special gallery of colorful drawings that nobody else can see anywhere. And if you support me by shopping at my merch store, you get the merch back, sorta. You know, all these jokes aside, I actually hate putting everything behind paywalls, and that's why still on my social media, on my Instagram, Twitter, and on this channel, a lot of the things are still free, but really, this keeps me in the business. Thanks to your support on these platforms, I can devote more and more time to podcasts such as this. So thank you. And onward with the Fuck Yeah Humanity subgenre of science fiction. This is basically like a parasite, in my opinion, attached to an already existing sort of military science fiction genre. And I am recording this in the summer of 2024, and in the present day, there are three salient expressions of this. One of them is this really weird and cringe edits based on James Cameron's Avatar movies. And, I'm gonna be a bit redundant and I'm gonna retell a lot of obvious things, but I want these podcasts to stand alone. So in this movie, there's a noble savage paradise world known as Pandora, and on Pandora there are these noble savages known as the Na'vi, and if you can live like them, respect nature, everything is like a paradise. And then the colonizing people are portrayed as naive at best and evil at worst, and the obvious character to spawn this subgenre is this one Colonel Miles Quaritch. He's a military guy who's tasked with wiping out the Na'vi resistance so the humans can mine their materials, or in the second Avatar movie, they're sucking the brains of whales for an immortality drug. Yeah, but the films are really great, but in time, after the first film came out, this weird sub-fandom developed. And believe me, I'm trying to keep civilized and not throw shade on anybody. If you come to this channel defending this type of science fiction, I respect you. So the key artifact that goes into forging the Fuck Yeah Humanity subgenre out of Avatar is this one internet meme where they basically take a swole-looking picture of Colonel Miles Quaritch and then inexpertly paste this kind of like motivational and in what their mind is a pro-human quote over it. And it goes something like, "Where are your marvels of engineering, your voyages of discovery, your great insight into the nature of the universe? Even at our basest, when we dressed as you do, we built wonders, we made great journeys, we forged epics, you have not." And he says that you will remain in your trees, hunting your prey, communing with your goddess until your sun burns out and your world dies, and above your tomb, the stars will belong to us. That's what Colonel Courage was fighting for. He was fighting for mass civilization and human supremacy, and he's casting these noble savages in a different light. To him, they are like true savages. Curiously, in the second Avatar movie, there's another general character who's more businesslike and brisk than General Quaritch himself. She's played by the same lady who played Tony Soprano's wife in the popular TV series Sopranos, but to my best knowledge, there are no badass rah-rah quote memes about that character. Anyway, so this thing is one leg in the formation of this fuck yeah humanity perception. And the second obviously comes from the Warhammer 40k universe. This is a very deep-rooted, expansive universe of a grim, dark future in which humanity is fighting against orcs, space bugs, all sorts of demons, plus zombie aliens and a bunch of other factions. And Warhammer is a very extensive universe with a lot of tie-in books, comics, animations, including some very, very well-made, fun-made animations, a lot of lore, and while the main thing they want to sell you are those miniatures, you can simply immerse yourself in the lore and stories and never even attempt to paint or play with any of those miniatures. But that is basically the Warhammer universe in a nutshell for you, if you never heard about it. Now, the point of contention with Warhammer happens as the company that makes it grows. And they are trying to be more inclusive and maybe pruning away some of the sharper edges of their built-in universe. Now, I personally think this is a shame because when it first started, Warhammer was actually a really dark, gallows humor kind of critique on fascism and totalitarian states in general. You were not actually meant to root for the Empire of Man, but you're basically meant to have a laugh at it, have a dark laugh at it as you play. And I mean, it was really obvious in the earliest iterations of the game. There were these units that dropped entire cathedrals onto enemies. It was all about chasing down heretics and killing them with some factions. And then this was the 90s cynical anti-theist appreciation of the world in operation. Fast forward a few decades later, and obviously thousands more, millions more people are interested in Warhammer. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but a certain faction defends the rah-rah manliness of this universe with their claws and teeth, basically, completely oblivious to the fact that, you know, they are just fighting for a change of detail in a product that people want to sell you to make shareholder value. And actually, personally, my personal gripe with Warhammer and retconning certain details is not about female space marines, and that's the big thing that's ruffling feathers these days. Not female space marines, but how they are pruning down some of the chaos gods. Now, in this universe, there are basically demonic forces, and one of them is known as Slanesh, and this is meant to be the goddess or the god of excess. And in the older iterations of the Warhammer universe, it is hinted that, you know, this is like one sick sexual force, mostly sexual, and there's all sorts of depraved stuff going on in Slanesh's name, you know, and like lots of gory, bizarre, kinky, out there, sinful sex. And obviously now, as this becomes a big product they want to sell to kids and young people in general, they're toning it down, and now Slanesh is becoming this force of aesthetic pursuits or the destructive pursuit of beauty. And of course, they are kind of not mentioning how that beauty is pursued. But these things are just evil things. I mean, that's one thing I don't get about contemporary popular culture and popular sci-fi in general. Some things are meant to be evil, and if you censor them, you're actually censoring the reason why the protagonists are fighting against them. But anyways, that's my gripe with Warhammer. Not that I really care much, because it always seemed like an over-the-top cultural property to me. I can understand why invested players kind of don't like their favorite story getting retconned. I have personally big issues with retcons. Like, as another side note, when Disney bought Star Wars had like lots of novels and lots of pre-established storylines, and over one night they just destroyed all of this canon, and they call it Legends now. And now they have another canon, which in most parts is mostly similar to Legends, but actually not, because they're like force inserting a lot of their new characters in there, and they're giving them backstories like devotes splitting aside a block of stone. But anyways, that's just another side point. So another point basically is just Warhammer, and they think they're destroying Warhammer by retconning all male space marines and putting the possibility of female space marines in there. I don't know. So a lot of fans are, once again, what makes this sub-genre, I call it a sub-genre, in fact a parasite genre, of this sort of fuck yeah humanity thing, is not the actual intellectual property itself, but fun edits created based on this thing, created by a certain kind and certain consistency of fans. And these come in the shape of these fan-made videos where they have all these like really impressive and motivational videos of these space marines marching, and then on top of this they layer some weird funk music, and when you watch them they're kind of like, okay, like a lot of pump-uppy, you know, like you get pumped up watching them. But to what end, son of man? To what end? And usually there are some these like cheesy kind of messages associating like humanity first, rah, crush the bugs and stuff. The irony with which the original Warhammer series was conceived is completely lost on these people. Now the side discussion about female space marines and even BlackRock's ownership of the property is something I can talk more about, but that's a by the by. I mean, that's a side quest. They're completely losing. Like, I don't think you're meant to cheer the Imperium of Man, but you're kind of meant to like darkly enjoy its gallows humor. And this by no means it's not something you want to apply to your life, to the way you look at life, to the way you conduct yourself, or dare I say, the way your politics are formed. But once again, it's another part in this great big subgenre that's emerging. And the third leg of the rah fuck yeah humanity thing comes from Starship Troopers. Now, this was obviously a classic military sci-fi novel by Robert A. Heinlein, and the novel was about humans fighting bugs in a kind of galactic setting. And then in 1997, the amazing director Paul Verhoeven took the book and made a movie based on it. But the movie is a completely different artifact. The original Starship Troopers basically had a pro-human angle. It was about the life and experiences of a man fighting with this force against these arachnids. But even that ended with like a commentary on the nature of war and society itself. In the original Starship Troopers book, actually, the official canon of how the world came to be is like literally people were not beating their kids enough. So the kids grew up to be spoiled brats and bastards, and the world became violent and full of delinquents. That enabled a benevolent military dictatorship to basically rule the world, and now that military dictatorship is fighting these bugs, arachnid bugs, across the galaxy. Now, in the movie, it was a very subtle commentary by Verhoeven. He, in fact, said it out loud that, you know, they did not want to go with the spirit of the book. And in fact, it's like a kind of really nice, cynical commentary on the nature of fascism. Like, the characters start out as like innocent kids, and as the war progresses, they almost turn into like cartoon copies of Nazi villains, and you're meant to look at this and despair and kind of think about what war does to a society. Now, as a side note here, every now and then in any setting for any country, I usually hear these things like, oh, if there was only a force that could, look, crime is a big problem these days, I don't deny it. And, all around the world, societies are full of these delinquent elements. Now, every now and then I hear these in conversations, hear people saying, if there was only a group, like if you could just kill them, that would be over. It would be a peaceful world. Okay, that argument is not without its merits, but they forget. Imagine there are these like really evil things running around in society, just creating problems, okay? Call them demons or whatever. But they're just like human beings. You need to like catch them and trap them and shoot them. But they're evil, so like killing them is somehow morally okay? Leaving alone that side of the argument. What kind of institutional change do you need to basically capture, track down, and kill humans? It's not easy. You can't run up to them and go pew pew pew, shoot them. It does not work that way. You have to have a group of people trained in the art of tracking down, identifying, and killing these undesirables. And believe me, killing other humans is not something that's easily or lightly done. According to some statistics, even in like big intensive conflicts like the Second World War, 2 out of 10 soldiers get to shoot an enemy. You have to have like really educated psychopaths, and you have to have these in large numbers. And you have to give them authority, agency, money, and then they can go about their business of like killing and shooting these undesirables and destroying them. But after they do that, what would happen? Do these people peacefully retire? Do they say, okay, we killed all the bad guys, now we can just rest easy, I think I'm gonna retire. It's always been my passion to paint miniatures, so I'm gonna open a miniature shop now. Oh, I'm just gonna retire and work in a Starbucks. Will human beings relinquish that power readily enough? Or will these people turn Janissary on you? That is to say, will they be another thorn on your side? Maybe they will be as big a problem as the undesirables they helped destroy. Maybe they will devolve into a sort of mafia organization within the state, demanding more money and more power for themselves to carry on a mission that creeps onwards and onwards, consuming the whole of society. Just think about it, you moron. I mean, come on. And I don't deny that there are problems in the present day either, but, just going space marines on them is not only counterproductive, it's also infeasible. But anyways, back at Starship Troopers and how it is becoming an element of this sub-genre of fuck yeah humanityism. So, the Paul Verhoeven version of the story was kind of read upside down by a certain kind of and a certain consistency of people. Dense consistency. And they think, oh, humanity were right there, just crush the bugs. We're under threat by bugs. You will do your part, become part of society, service, merit, citizenship. And the main premise of the movie that the director himself wrote in is going completely over the heads of these people. If we only got the space marines. The bugs are evil, kill bugs, who are the bugs? What are you porting this to? Like, letting alone the absurdity of forming any sort of political resolution out of an entertainment product, or in the case of Warhammer, literally a product sold to you for shareholder value, or in terms of that Avatar Colonel Quaritch thing, you're just you're simping for a villain, man, wake up. You're simping for a villain in a fictional story. And I mean, what's your deal? You think that's a reasonable course of action for a group of people to take? And I know in like politically despondent times, such as the present day, people will hold on to anything. As the saying goes, the drowning man is willing to hold on to a serpent. And I don't blame these people, but are you really that daft? Come on. So out of the amalgamation of these subsections emerges this sub-genre. It's mostly a genre of internet memes and fan fiction called the fuck yeah humanity genre. And by the way, of course, most of these people are really ignorant of actual military science fiction that was written in the 1980s and the 1990s. I'm talking about authors like S.M. Sterling, David Drake, and others. There are a lot of these big series, like Larry Niven in himself, actually. So there used to be this big series of military sci-fi novels called the Man-Kzin Wars. That's K-Z-I-N. And S.M. Sterling with David Drake also wrote an incredible series of books called the General series. And David Drake himself wrote a lot of military science fiction. Heck, in fact, I think Scott Orson Card, who wrote Ender's Game, that's also like good military fiction, good military sci-fi right there. Now, what all of these books had and what the present day fuck yeah humanity crowd is not getting is a commentary on society, a commentary on what it means to be human. Because otherwise it's just kind of like a masturbatory sequence of events where, yeah, the bugs are bad, kill bugs, kill them all. Yeah, humanity wins. Yeah, okay. Are you the humans? Are you the space marine? And what makes me fucking laugh is that when I look at the proponents of this fuck yeah humanity-ism, I don't think it's even a genre, it's just a misconstrued sentiment that's plaguing the lower ends of present-day science fiction readership like a mimetic plague. When I study these people as individuals, they're actually the people who least have their shit together in life. No family to take care of, mostly. And come on, living in a fantasy world, okay, if you suit up enough. And they almost always fetishize the most boring bits of science fiction too. Suiting up, making gear, tanks, helmets, blasters and stuff. I mean, it's no wonder why a lot of these people fetishize those Warhammer parade edits where it's like, oh, we're coming down to get you. Dum, dum, dum. We're coming down to kill you. Dum, 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 dum. We're coming down to beat you up because we are fuck yeah humanity. Yeah, come on. I mean, just boring. But look, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. You know, in this channel, my rule is don't have any axe to grind, but only to your toads to polish. So, I'm polishing them. So let me give you my concise summary on this entire phenomenon of fuck yeah humanity-ism. Okay, to begin with, it's actually not encoded or not even a sentiment of many books, movies, or other intellectual properties these people venerate and worship and fetishize. And sad to say, I believe people who take it too far have always the most juvenile appreciation of science fiction. Now, I'm not here to change anybody's minds, I know that's impossible, but look at all these expressions, like there are stories set across galaxies, there are like all these fictional universes, a really big and broad expanse of human effort. And you take that and you boil that down to, well, strong army marine shooting the evil bug. Haha, humanity first. If we shoot enough bugs, we can carry civilization out of the hole it's dug for itself. We can be like the Romans again and shit. But you scratch that a little and you almost always find that these people are not that intelligent. They always grasp science fiction from the wrong end and they insert it through the wrong end too. And they're completely devoid of curiosity, intellectual appreciation, lateral thinking, what-if consideration of scenarios. In fact, scratch them a little and you just find that they're bullies lusting to see something different from what they picture themselves as getting destroyed. And I think that's not even bad. It's just the most boring type of human being imaginable. I mean, I guess I can have a little credit because I've been dabbling in science fiction and science fictional universe for a bit, you know. I think science fiction can be so much more. Even military science fiction is so much more than these lowlives. It's terribly reductionist and it's just boring. It's not even cringe. But here is what I would do if somebody forced me to write a fuck yeah humanity for first kind of story. And here is how it would unfold, I think. To begin with, I would give 1 or 2 chapters about the early life of this character, and this would be a bit boring to readers who are unaware of life, basically. But there would be a detail in which his siblings died or something, so he suffered a big loss. And then something happens and humanity is caught in a war with, let's change this a bit. I mean, I hate these space scenarios. Oh, there's another caveat, by the way. Do you think anything like Starship Troopers is ever gonna be real? Do you think anything like Warhammer is ever gonna be real? Do you think that humanity can ever actually colonize another planet in the solar system, let alone the universe? I've talked about this at length and it's practically impossible. Go check the rest of my channel out, it's practically impossible. I mean, You can't even imagine trying to get a city going in Antarctica, okay? You have to ship in all the fuel, all the food, all the basic necessities of life. Or imagine getting a city going in the Sahara Desert. You have to ship in all the water and stuff. And even in these environments, you're getting the air for free because the planet provides it for you. You're compatible with the atmosphere. Now imagine that on another planet, okay? Imagine that on Mars or Venus. How are you gonna do it? Imagine you got an air filter. Well, one part breaks down. Okay, you're gonna fly the next in from Earth. Imagine you brought 5 new parts over. Are they gonna last? How many rocket flights can the world support? Shipping stuff out to this colony. And that's just talking about Mars or the moon, mind you. And there are practical calculations why terraforming is practically impossible too, at least in our solar system. You can drop as many meteors or comets onto Mars, and because of the gravity, all the oxygen you might pump into the place from that unknown source will just evaporate away. And the distances between stars are simply incrossable. You simply can't cross it. You're better off trying to survive in the vacuum of space rather than going to a distant planetary system and trying to establish a colony there. Okay, so that's a given. Now, that is impossible, and you think you're gonna ship tanks and space marines and shit over to fight these bugs you might find there? Imagine you fight. It's just impossible. And it's not even a case of, you're just not dreaming hard enough. You're just not optimistic. No, it's physically impossible. You need such a state of material control that you would need to end up like something like a mobile sun, basically, in order to journey to a far off planet. And if you do that, do you think you're still going to be caring about space marines or rifles or guns or lasers? It's just the most juvenile form of fantasy, you motherfucker. Wake up. I mean, that's why a lot of these universes have these tongue-in-cheek faster than light transports systems. In the Warhammer universe, they actually go to hell and come back out in order to travel between stars. But this is real life. Something like that is never gonna happen. The most similar thing on Earth would be maybe a kind of rapid insertion force of like actual military personnel that get flown around the world really rapidly with hopes of combating an enemy force or rescuing hostages from somewhere. Imagine like these commandos who fly with a Mach 4.0 airplane to take out terrorists and stuff like that. That's the closest you will get. And even that is too far off from these like fantasy universes. And you think that's like so patently and clearly impractical in every step. And you are willing to conflate that into a movement you can stand up for, something that even bleeds into contemporary politics. Well then, my friend, if you think this way, you're delusional, and you're dangerously delusional. So just think about it, huh? Anyways, back to my story, okay? Back to my fuck yeah humanity, yeah rules kind of story. Okay, there's a war, but as we just discussed at this tangent, interstellar travel is impossible. So imagine a crack on the Earth app opens in various cities around the world, and out come these Earth bugs who have been living in Shambhala, the world underground, for billions of years. And for convenience, these guys also operate in military units with individuals roughly the size of humans. That's another tangent, by the way. What if the alien force or alien civilization you encounter is made out of like trillions of small bugs who can sting and kill a person instantly? It's like a natural phenomenon, and there's no defense against that thing. At least not with tanks and space marines and stuff. It would come to some like more boring scenario where they invent a kind of suit that protects against these bugs or whatever, or a kind of bug poison. Yeah. So anyways, but for our convenience in our story, these Earth bugs come out, and for some reason world organizes these rapid reaction forces to fight the bugs, to fight the evil bugs. Now in my story, the lead character would not be a space marine or a general or a master strategician, you know? They call them strategos. He comes up with a strategy because he reads the books of old Rome and the wars of Alexander and shit Shit, give me a break. No, in my story, it would be this one guy, and as every cool guy interested in warfare knows, wars are all about logistics, how fast and how efficiently you can get supplies, water, soldiers to the front line, and how good you can take care of your own forces. Remember that. And our hero is a logistics expert, and he rubs shoulders, and he kind of has these minor conflicts with these more like rah attack now kind of boisterous guys. But he perfects this system of, let's say, logistics delivery. He requisitions all the old rusting buses and trucks from world governments, while the other rah guys are just masturbating over like flamethrowers and military stuff. And he says that even your flamethrower is going to run out of fuel. Who's going to bring the next batch of fuel? And then he basically requisitions or orders the cooperation of local people. Everybody donates their cars or trucks to his forces. So he establishes these logistics trains from basically all these desperate cities, retooling to make weapons against these bugs. And then through them, he wins the war. And he barely gets credited. In fact, some dipshit fuckface general gets credited, but he knows what's what. So that would be my rah humanity first story. And then I think the next 20 books in that series would be spent exploring the totalitarian world state that evolved to first combat these bugs. And then after the bugs were basically made extinct, the state still clings to power, and they still have these like monitoring stations expecting a new incursion of bugs is possible any minute. So they have these listening posts all over the world, but little do they know that the bugs are actually extinct, and they're basically using this as an excuse to prolong their own power. The logistics guy maybe gets assassinated, who knows, before passing what he knows on to a subordinate, and then he or she gets to, I don't know, navigate the military bureaucratic hellhole the world has become. Heck, maybe like this guy requisitioned everybody's cars and trucks and buses to fuel guns and ammo to the front, but then it kind of becomes a rule, and now the military state can just requisition anybody's property, not even vehicles, anybody's anything, and that's the kind of world they live in now. So that would be my fuck yeah humanity first story. Once again, thanks for listening to me this far. Maybe if this video proves to be popular, a lot of you are gonna come in from the other side. If you think I am wrong, please let me know in the comments. I don't like debates, but if you want to debate me or like talk to me about this thing, I'm always open to debates. I like a good conversation. Do you? Then please let me know. And also consider supporting me on Patreon if you think I'm a fucking weird liberal ruining your favorite franchise. Just hate pay me up, bitches. Yeah, put those dollars where your hate is, and at least I can laugh all the way to the bank. Anyways, this is a harmonious channel. I don't want to pick fights with anyone, but thanks for listening. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me or disagree with me, and as always, wherever you come from and wherever you are, have a nice day. I love you all. I hope I could prove to you how childish and juvenile your ways have been. Okay, bye.